The last couple of weeks, we talked about self-awareness and how it is the key to change and how change is the key to your next level. And then we talked about how to start essentially keeping promises to yourself and making change through an identity-based change. Not just a do, it's a who you want to become versus what you want to do. And how an identity-based change really can happen 1% at a time, just a little bit every day, just a little bit every week, just a little bit every month, a little bit every year, and have this compounding impact that can truly change who you are and is a lasting change. Having said that, there is an amazing young man that I've started to follow on YouTube. He's 22 years old, and a little bit of background. He was born, he was the 12th child in the family, and 8 children before him had died. And his family still had faith that he was going to make it. So they, of course, went full term. They had this amazing young man, but he has not lived a life without challenges. And when I heard him talk, it just hit me in the gut, like, what the heck excuse do you have, Jenna? He was not supposed to live. He was born with no legs and 1 arm. And even his arm that he does not have a full hand on it. 22 years old, he basically is saying his right arm was not usable, but it was very painful. So he decided when he was in high school that he wanted to become a wrestler and went home and told his parents, hey, mom and dad, I don't want to just be on the bowling league. He had already joined a bowling league and was actually doing pretty well. And he said it wasn't challenging enough for him. So what he did is he went home and he told his parents, hey, I want to be a wrestler. This bowling thing isn't hard enough for me. And he decided that he was going to have what was part of his right arm. We all saw he just has this, kind of stub on the right side. He'd actually had 5 inches more of an arm on that side. And he went home and asked his parents, he said, well, it's not doing any good for me. And he said his parents had always been supportive, always been really helpful, really great. And they said, do you really want to do that? For the first time, he saw doubt in their eyes. Are you really sure that A, you can wrestle, and B, that you would be willing to have an amputation to do that, to make that goal? So he essentially had the surgery. They allowed him to have the surgery because it was so painful for him on that side. It was dangerous for him to wrestle. Y'all, he had an amputation just for the chance at accomplishing something that everybody else thought was impossible. But I was so inspired by this to take away our own excuses. It is time that I think we as an industry, we have to take away our excuses and really dig deep and say, is this the year that I'm going to decide that I'm going to take action despite being motivated or not? And what this kid did is he not only made the wrestling team, his senior year of high school, he made varsity and he actually won some matches at competitions. It just absolutely is mind-blowing to me. And there's some clips of him in there. If y'all want to do that, I'll put the link down in there if y'all want to watch the whole interview. But it was so inspirational. And I thought, you know what? This is the kind of stuff that we need to be coming together and listening to, hearing about, and getting inspired by, because we're in a society that's negative, market this, market that, this brokerage that, and we need to just literally cut it all away, all the negative things, right? Just like he did, cut it away and focus on the goal and stop making excuses. And I was so inspired. That's what our focus is today. And I thought, you know what? This is the context I wanted to start this in today, was looking at somebody who has so many reasons why to stay hidden and have excuses and not have confidence and be afraid and think that, that he can't overcome things, has honestly overcome so much more than any of us could possibly even imagine. Our topic today, it's really motivation. And this is something that I used to just look at other people and be like, how are they so dadgum motivated? What's the secret sauce? And the more that I have become aware of what my own struggles are, my own weaknesses are, and the more that I've studied other people, the more I realized what motivation truly is. So let's go through here. And again, if you don't know me, my name is Jenna Harris Hernandez. I am a top 1%er at J-Park and nationwide for the real estate industry in total. I have been for the last 7 years. I've done this for 10 years. I have my own coaching company called Maverick Real Coaching that I kind of never really back in the day thought that I would want to be a coach, but I discovered I was really gifted at it. And it's actually actually where I should be, even opposed to production and real estate. That's who I am. I love JPAR, and I'm super honored to be here with you guys. So this is week 3. So what is motivation? If you look at it, motivation is a feeling, and we're going to come back to that here in a little bit. I want to read this definition. I thought it was helpful. Motivation is the reason for which humans and other animals initiate, continue, or terminate a behavior at a given time. Motivational states are commonly understood as forces acting within the agent that create a disposition to engage in goal-directed behavior. If you really look into that, I feel like we could talk about this one quote the whole dadgum time. But if you really look at it, motivation at this definition, and as a lot of the people who study self-growth and growth in general, is a feeling. And a feeling can be very fleeting, right? I actually have to set up my day because of self-awareness, which we're going to recap the past couple weeks. If you haven't watched those, go back and watch them, please, because this is the 3rd in the session. And it's still going to make an impact on you today. So hang tight with me. But motivation, being a feeling, can be fleeting. And so you have to know yourself. One of the things that drives me nuts in the morning is getting into my car and not having a cup holder for my coffee. I know that is pathetic, but I have learned, okay, Jenna, that bothers you so much. It puts you in a bad mood and makes you like short with other people. So you know what? The night before, clean out your car. Motivation, and there's a point to this story, can be stolen. Motivation can be squelched. Motivation is a fire. And if you pour water on fire, what happens? It goes away. What we have to realize is motivation is not just the beginning. Action is actually the first step in being motivated. And there's a story that I'll tell before we go into the recap. One of my biggest challenges right now is I'm focusing this year on getting healthy and well and whole. That is a big part of me that was left behind in the business. You know, I was being kind of drug around by my business before I had the skill set to learn how to manage the business instead of the business managing my life. You have to really take a look and a step back. But I remember this quote that I was listening to because health is kind of my big domino this year. And you need to identify yours, but mine is health. And I remember listening to a podcast, and there was a guy on there who said, one of my friends, I don't know who it is, but this is not my quote, said that he had a buddy, 500 pounds overweight, very unhealthy. And instead of joining CrossFit and breaking his body down, he decided that every day he would drive to the gym and he would exercise for 5 minutes. He said that everybody would look at him like he was crazy and ridiculous and lazy and label him all these things. But he was mastering the art of showing up before he mastered the art of being a fitness buff. And guess what fitness buffs have to do? They have to show up first. They have to take the action to actually get there and show up. And he followed that up with a quote by somebody else. And I'm sorry, I don't have that. I didn't plan on sharing this, but it popped in my head. I think it's helpful that the heaviest weight at the gym is the front door. And that's how it is with a lot of the goals that we're all working on. The heaviest thing to move is really the thing standing between you and what you want. And most of the time that thing is yourself. So with motivation, what we have to do is we have to take action. And last week we talked about keeping promises to yourself 1% at a time. The action that you need to take is really going to be something small, and then the motivation will follow. Motivation, how to get motivated is really action, but there's also some keys, some small keys that'll give you some tricks and tips that really help me get motivated. So recap really quick. First week, we talked about self-awareness is the key to change. Sometimes people just make this giant list of things they're going to do, but they have no awareness of their strengths, their weaknesses, or their biggest domino, or even who they want to be, what they want to become, or where they want to go. And it's a really confusing way to try to change. I talked about some keys to self-awareness. And change is how you reach your next level. So those are 2 building blocks that are very critical. The next one is, second week, we talked about you need to define who you want to become, not just what you want to do. Identity-based change is what we're after. With your choices, with your thoughts, with the actions, okay, this is what we're building on today, that you take, you have to start casting more votes in favor of who you want to become rather than the alternative, which is the person you want to, aka leave behind, change from, that place you want to come from. And when I say cast more votes, it really just means you have to start affirming who you want to become with the choices that you make. I would love to go eat Blue Bell. I used to be able to do that and still be a size 0 because I was a professional athlete. I can't do that anymore. I'm not a professional athlete anymore. I'm not young anymore. more. And I have to make changes and I have to align. If I still want to, reach my health goals every single day, I have to start casting more votes. Like, okay, I'm going to have low fat yogurt with some almond slices on it, not Bluebell. Boo hoo. Right? Okay, I'm a true Southerner here. I'm giving away my roots. But you see what I'm saying? You have to start casting more votes in favor of who you want to become and move toward that new identity. And how do we do that? Y'all, you don't have to start, like I talked about the guy who's trying to get in shape. You don't have to start CrossFitting every single day at 500 pounds. You need to start heated, taking an action that is doable, that you can stay consistent with and building on it. So this guy has now lost, I think at the time I read this, over 150 pounds. He's kept it off and he's still losing weight. And now he goes to the gym for like an hour and a half every day. But it started with something small. And it started with him saying, you know what? I'm the dadgum kind of person that's going to make the dang drive, open that front door and show up. 1% at a time, you start to keep the promises to yourself. And once you start keeping promises, like me eating yogurt and almond shavings, you know what? It feels freaking great because I'm in control again and I am making choices that are affirming that I'm going to be a person that's fit. I am a person that's fit. So little help there. So again, motivation is a feeling. We have to take action first. I want to put in some quotes and some of these are quotes and some of them are really more like a process that I'd love for us to really start to embrace and look into. We are in a business, you guys, that every single day we are facing rejection. And every single day we have to teach the public. We have so much to overcome as agents. And so I think it is easy in this industry to grow weary. And so we need to link arms. We need to do like what we're doing today, come together and talk about this stuff and acknowledge it. And sometimes, give each other high fives, sometimes cry on the shoulder, sometimes kick each other in the rear. Like we need to really link arms and come together and also realize there's so much success to go around. Why not share the best of the best with everybody? We can all be successful. What I want to focus on though is there's a lot to overcome in this industry and acknowledge that it's easy to get burnt out and it's easy to get worn down. And it is really easy to lose that great feeling, especially when you're newer in the business, of accomplishment, of making things happen, because real estate is a long sales cycle. Most of the time, until the deal is closed, there's 150 steps to get there. And so what we need to do is decide that we're going to take action every day. Get together with people, create an environment for yourself where you are seeing other people take action, whether they're motivated or not. And I think that's critical. So let's go through these quotes. This is great. So this is more of a system or a map that kind of shows you how motivation works. Taking action is at the top. How do you decide to take action when you're not motivated? You can do anything for 5 minutes. If I had to, I might have a heart attack and die, but I could do burpees for 5 minutes. Right? We can do anything for 5 minutes, just like the gym guy. I'm going to call him the gym guy. You can do anything 1% better. So take that action and just decide you're going to do it. Stop making excuses. Stop making excuses. 2023, it is time to just decide that you're going to take action. Once you take action, guess what? You feel motivated. Now for real estate, I want to put this in a good context. Let's say you're working on a phone, and we know how people can be. You take that action, you pick up the phone, you start making phone calls. You might not feel motivated after you've made 50 phone calls and only 2 people picked up. But guess what? Make it a game. How many no's can you get that day? And link up with other people who are doing the phone calls and having success. Sometimes in real estate, we have to take action for a while because of the sales cycle. When I say sales cycle, for those of you who are new, that just means that sometimes getting married, buying a house, we're dealing with big life decisions here. And sometimes things can get pushed around for 6 months, a year, 18 months, sometimes more. 3 of my listings right now, I've been working with these people for 3 years. It takes consistency. So you need to wake up every day and decide that you're going to take action and do it in a way that's 1% at a time. And you will start to feel motivated. Instead of being the person that's avoiding the phone calls every day and reaffirming that identity in yourself, wake up and say, I'm going to make phone calls for an hour today, or 30 minutes, or 10 phone calls. However, you're going to stay consistent with it. And guess what? Then all of a sudden you're like, dude, I'm the person that freaking makes 10 phone calls a day. You start to become this person. After a while, you start to build momentum, which is such a powerful thing, which probably should be its own topic. And guys, after that momentum starts to build and you've done this consistently, then you're fueling your motivation, right? And then sometimes motivation does start to come first, but guess what it started with? It started with action. And it's so critical. The circle of life here is take action, you feel motivated, you build momentum, and then you fuel that motivation to keep going. So let's move on. Action is the mother of motivation. Bottom line, it truly is. is. And then for those of us who have a dream board, which I actually really want to do this with you guys live at some point. Maybe we'll do a workshop or something, maybe not on the morning club, but the distance between your dreams and reality is called action. For those of you who have goals, who have dreams, who want to be top 1%ers, or you want to invest in real estate or whatever that thing is, it starts with action. And I know that sometimes I'm doing a session at JPAR Nation Celebration. But for those of you who deal with procrastination or fear or overwhelm or anything like that, you should attend, because I have had to deal with that my whole life. And I've developed some systems that really help me overcome those things. So attend that session if that's something that you struggle with. But you really do have to stop being afraid and have to stop making excuses and take that action to get going. That is the distance between you and accomplishing your goals and your dreams. I can promise you that. So what's the main lesson today? Is to stop waiting. So it's kind of a crummy picture. It says stop waiting. Stop waiting. Stop waiting to make the phone calls. Stop waiting to take action on whatever that next step is that you have identified. That's really the lesson here. The motivation, stop waiting for it to show up. It's a feeling. Just like in a relationship, those of you who are married and who've been married for a long time, every single day you don't wake up with a fuzzy feeling of love in your soul. If you do, I guess you're a unicorn. But sometimes it's stinking hard. And you have to create an environment in which that commitment that you made can continue to flourish and give you the feels, right? But sometimes it takes action, a selfless action. So stop waiting for motivation to fly in and save you. You are your own savior. You can do this. You are capable. And I won't go into my own story. That's not what the JPAR Morning Club is about. But, we all have had our things that we've had to overcome. Okay. We all have had our struggles. Maybe you grew up, maybe you had a tough upbringing and struggled with some things. Guys, you are the person that can do this and that will get you from A to Z and from where you're at right now to your next level and ultimately to your end goal. So stop waiting for motivation to fly in and save the day. You are your own savior. You're your own starting point. So guys, that is it for me today. That is what I wanted to go over. That's the challenge. I will put the link to weeks 1 and 2 in there if you want to kind of have this build on. Basically, it was like, oh my gosh, we need to have one thing to kind of wrap up this particular series. And it really is, in order to accomplish 1 and 2, you have to take action before the motivation arrives. So thank you for joining me at the JPAR Morning Club. You guys really are starting to hold me accountable and make me better. And so you showing up, I hope helps you. That's the goal, but it is also helping me. And I appreciate you all so much. Have a wonderful day. I will drop links in the comments and in the chat, and I will talk to you soon. Email me at jennaharris@jpar.com if you want the links sent directly to your email. Thank you. Have an awesome day, and let's take action. Bye-bye.